Hey guys, my name is Caio Andrade. I'm a head coach at BJJ Lotus Club Australia. I want to share this tool that I found while surfing the web. It's a tool that allows you to create a podcast just by uploading a few files. I tried and I loved the results. Check it out. At the end of the video, I tell you the name of the tool. Bye.
All right, welcome to this deep dive. Today we're getting into some BJJ, specifically BJJ Lotus Club Australia.
Cool.
I'm really excited about this one.
Should be interesting.
You send over some IBJJF rulebook stuff, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Gives us that kind of background.
Yes, that's the scene.
Yeah. And then we're going into the Lotus Club's approach with like all their belt guides, from white belt all the way up to brown belt.
It's going to be cool to see how they've kind of made their own system within those rules, especially since, this is coming from the head coach, Caio Andrade, and his team.
Yeah, it's their unique approach, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it may not be exactly how everyone in jiu-jitsu sees it, but it's...
Right. It's specific to BJJ Lotus Club.
Exactly.
So I think our mission today is to find out what makes their approach so unique.
Definitely.
We'll look at how they do their belt progression, which I hear is more than just the techniques, and maybe even grab some stuff that even if you've never done BJJ, you could still apply.
Awesome. Let's jump right in.
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't we start with that IBJJF rulebook? What stood out to you?
I mean, it's pretty intense, right? They cover everything. Referee signals, what you can and can't do.
It's super thorough.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It feels like they really want fair play and a consistent way to run competitions.
Yeah, exactly. And you see that emphasis on being safe and playing by the rules.
Right.
It's a good foundation. And then it's cool to see how Lotus Club takes that and builds on it with their own philosophy.
Okay, so let's get into that.
Yeah.
So we've got those belt guides. It lays out the whole path, white belt all the way to brown belt. And what's interesting is they really focus on mindset and growing as a person from the very beginning.
That's what caught my eye too. They talk about being organized, balanced, being resilient, even knowing when to give up.
Right, like when to tap.
Yeah, exactly. That stuff goes way beyond just fighting. It kind of shows how much thought Caio Andrade and his team put into this.
It's that high-level approach.
Yeah.
And I love how they say tapping is the most important skill for a white belt, respecting yourself and the other person.
Total.
It's not about winning at all costs. It's about learning and not getting hurt.
Yeah, it sets a different tone right away. It's not this hardcore win at all costs thing.
Right, exactly.
It shows that, under Caio Andrade, they see jiu-jitsu as a way to grow, not just a sport.
Yeah. And speaking of growth, their whole belt system is built around those 4 stages of learning. Not even knowing what you don't know and then all that.
Yeah. That's a great framework.
Right.
It helps to see how they approach teaching both the skills and the mindset. But maybe we should explain those stages for anyone who's not familiar, just in case.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Easy to forget that not everyone's obsessed with learning models like us. Okay, so picture yourself, brand new white belt. You're at the unconscious incompetent stage.
Yeah.
You literally don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You step on the mat and you're probably excited but also a bit nervous.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And from the way this white belt guide's written, it seems like Lotus Club is all about taking it slow and steady at this stage.
Exactly. They focus on those basic movements, those super fundamental BJJ situations, and like we said, learning how to tap. It's about building that safety net and respect right from the start.
Yeah, and that ties into the next stage, conscious incompetence, which is when you become a blue belt. You start to see what you're not good at, and the focus shifts to really nailing down techniques and being accurate.
So you know what you need to work on, but you're still figuring things out.
Right.
And then as you move through purple and brown belt, you go through conscious competence and finally land at unconscious competence, where it all just flows naturally.
It's like this journey of discovering yourself and mastering the skills. And what's cool is Lotus Club seems to have set up their whole training to support people at each of those stages.
Okay, so let's break down each belt level.
Yeah.
They talk about the time it takes, the key skills, even how your mindset should be changing.
And they have a ton of drills, both solo and with a partner.
Right.
It'll be cool to see how those drills get more advanced as we go through the belts.
Me too. But let's start with the white belts.
Yeah.
What's their journey like at BJJ Lotus Club?
Let's see. So like we were saying, white belts are just starting out. They're in that unconscious incompetence phase, figuring things out.
Totally.
Yeah.
But how does that translate to actual training? What kind of drills do they do?
And then there's the rolling drills, forward, backward, sideways.
Simple, but important.
Yeah, you got to get comfortable with those basic movements before you can move on to the more complex stuff. Kind of like learning your ABCs before you can write a novel.
Well, that analogy.
And then they start incorporating partner drills pretty early on.
Oh, yeah. What do those look like for a white belt?
Let's see, there's one that combines sit-ups with the Americana submission hold.
So you're working your core and practicing a submission at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Efficient. Right.
I like it.
And it helps you connect your mind and body.
Yeah.
Another one they have is bridging while your partner's in side control.
Okay, so you're learning to escape.
Yeah, while your partner's learning to maintain control, they're both developing their skills at the same time.
That's cool.
All right, so let's move on to the blue belt.
Yeah, blue belt time.
This is where things get a little more interesting. They're in that conscious incompetence stage. They're starting to see the gaps in their knowledge.
They're aware of what they don't know.
Right. And the focus shifts to refining those techniques and being more accurate.
So it's not just about knowing the moves, it's about doing them right.
Exactly. And you can see that in the drills. One that stands out is the technical stand-up.
Okay.
It's about getting up from the ground quickly and smoothly.
Sounds tricky.
It is. And then they make it even harder by adding a backward step.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's next level.
Gotta be ready for anything.
Right. And then there's the advanced hip escape. It builds on what they learned as white belts.
Escaping, creating space.
Exactly. Slipping away from your opponent.
Love it.
And with a partner, they're working on things like passing the guard and keeping your guard.
Back and forth.
Yeah, always pushing each other to get better.
Okay, so what about purple belts? What does Caio Andrade and his team have in store for them?
Well, they've reached conscious competence. They know what to do, but they're still working on making it all flow smoothly.
It's about timing, right?
Exactly. They're not just reacting anymore. They're anticipating what their opponent is going to do.
Like a chess match, but with your body.
Yeah. And they're learning more advanced open guard techniques, mastering transitions, and how to chain techniques together.
Sounds complicated.
It is. And the drills get pretty intense.
Like what?
Well, there's one called the wall exercise.
Wall exercise. What's that?
So picture this. You're using a wall to practice everything from hip elevations to arm bars to full transitions.
Against a wall?
Yeah.
How does that even work?
It sounds crazy, but it's brilliant. It's like having a training partner that doesn't move.
So you can really focus on your technique.
Yeah. And it helps with balance and coordination, too.
Makes sense.
And they still have partner drills, of course.
Yeah.
They're working on things like the knee slice, the Della Riva, and the screen wiper guard passes.
It's cool how the drills get more and more challenging as you move up the belts.
Yeah, and it's not just about the physical skills.
Yeah.
At this level, Lotus Club starts to emphasize teaching and mentorship.
Oh, interesting.
So they're encouraging the purple belts to share what they've learned with the lower belts.
Building that community.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk brown belts.
Brown belts, they've reached unconscious competence.
Mastery.
Yeah, it's all about smoothness and flow at this point.
I like that smoothness and mastery.
It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does.
And their training reflects that they're focusing on those tiny details and making their movements effortless.
So what kind of drills do they do?
One that's really interesting is they use a ball to practice transitions and maintaining top control.
A ball.
Yeah. Imagine putting a ball between you and your imaginary opponent and using it to practice things like knee on belly transitions, guard passes, and other movements where you need to stay on top.
Sounds like a fun challenge.
It is. And for partner drills, they do things like rolling around in between their partner's legs.
Whoa. That takes a lot of trust.
It does. And through it all, the focus is on that effortless flow, refining the details, and becoming more intuitive.
It's like they're not just teaching techniques, they're teaching a way of thinking.
That's a great point. It's about self-awareness, resilience, and really understanding the art of BJJ.
So we've gone through all the belts, from white to brown, and seen all these amazing drills. But what are the big takeaways here? What can someone who's never done BJJ learn from all of this?
That's a great question, and it leads us perfectly into our last section. Let's talk about how this all applies to life outside of BJJ. So yeah, we've looked at how they do things at BJJ Lotus Club Australia, their belt system, all those drills. But like you were saying, there's more to it than that.
Right. Like bigger lessons we can take away.
Yeah. What I find really cool about their whole approach is how it goes beyond just martial arts. It's stuff you can use in any part of life, really.
Okay, I'm definitely interested to hear this. What kind of life lessons are we talking about?
Well, one of the first things is how they teach you to embrace being uncomfortable. Right from the start, white belts learn to tap, to yield when they need to. That acceptance of not always being in control, it's huge for growing.
It's like that saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Exactly. It's about pushing your boundaries, recognizing that growth often happens when you're a little bit outside your comfort zone.
Makes sense.
And BJJ Lotus Club, they really stress consistent practice, making small improvements over time. They make it clear that mastery isn't about some overnight miracle. It's about showing up, putting in the work day after day, and trusting the process.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about that. It's like whether you're learning a new language or building a business, it's those tiny steps, those little adjustments that add up to big changes over time.
Absolutely. Consistency is key. And another thing that's really cool is how they connect physical skill with mental focus and emotional intelligence. BJJ, the way Caio Andrade and his team teach it, it's not just about being strong. It's about having a calm, focused mind, managing your emotions when things get tough, and developing a strategic awareness.
It's almost like meditation, but with movement.
Yeah, I like that. You're constantly having to stay in the moment, react instinctively, and adapt to whatever's happening.
And that's a useful skill no matter what you're doing.
Right. Whether you're having a tough conversation, dealing with the project at work, or just trying to stay calm when everything's going crazy, that ability to stay grounded and centered is invaluable.
Totally. And it's like BJJ is training you to be more resilient, both physically and mentally.
Exactly. You learn to bounce back from setbacks, adjust to challenges, and keep pushing for improvement no matter what.
And like they emphasized in the beginning, sometimes you got to know when to tap out and try again.
That's huge, right?
Yeah.
Recognizing when something's not working, having the guts to let it go and trying something new, that's a powerful lesson.
It's crazy how much wisdom is packed into these belt guides. It's like Caio Andrade and his team have turned BJJ into a philosophy for life.
They really have. It's a good reminder that being really good at anything, whether it's BJJ or something else, it's not just about talent or technique.
Yeah.
It's about the right mindset, being able to bounce back and respecting the process of learning, always growing.
This has been awesome. This deep dive into BJJ Lotus Club Australia has been so insightful. I feel like I've learned so much, not just about BJJ, but about discipline, resilience, community.
And remember, all of this is coming directly from Caio Andrade and his team. Their specific way of doing things at BJJ Lotus Club Australia. It's their unique method, a blend of high-level technique and a focus on growing as a person.
Definitely a unique approach. So as we wrap up, what's one thing you want our listener to walk away with today?
As you go about your day, think about how all of this connects with your own goals, what you're trying to achieve. How can you get a little more comfortable with being uncomfortable? Where can you be more consistent? And how can you get that mind-body connection stronger to be more resilient and adaptable?
Those are some great questions to think about. And you know what else I'm curious about? What happens after you get that brown belt? What does mastery look like at black belt and beyond? That's something for you to explore. Until next time, happy training.
The name of the tool is NotebookLM. Check it out. Search on Google. Bye.